conventional approaches in mental health has always been very medical in nature, and when it comes to in-house treatments, it is still very custodial in nature, so there is not much of freedom or independence or choices that are given to the person who is suffering. So it is pretty straight-jacketed programs that are available, and that, I believe, adds on to the stress of the person who is undergoing the issue already. So after having spent a lot of time in the mental health sector with various programs, which directly or indirectly remains still very custodial in nature, I think I became very tired of it at one point, and I wanted to do something which is not custodial in nature, which does not restrict movement of people, and which is also very choice based, and which allows people to express what they want, what they need, and be able to live a very dignified life like any one of us. 10 years ago, I created Better Chances in Chennai, and we call it the Wellness Center. So we kind of redefined mental health in our own way, and with what we are going to deliver to the people based on how we want to be treated, and so we call this a mental wellness center. So what is the difference then between other services and us? That would be in a conventional service in mental health, they would put the diagnosis of the person in the center, and they will work around that diagnosis, and they would call it the multidisciplinary approach. So there will be a social worker, a psychologist, an occupational therapist, whoever. But they will all be working around schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and the diagnosis is the highlight, right? But in our center, when they come in, of course, they talk to us about how they have been diagnosed and what has been told to them about the diagnosis and everything. Though we do hear them say all that, our question to them would be, so what do you do well? What are the things that you are capable of doing? And that would actually take them by surprise, because they are all filled with what they are not capable of. They've been told enough about what they are not capable of. When you ask them what they are good at, it takes a little time for them to touch base with how good they were in certain things. It could even be something like, I can make the best tea in the world. It could be like, I'm a very good cook. And at some point, somebody has said, I'm a great cook. It could be so many things that we would say are very small, petty things that can be dismissed. But for us, those are the most, we catch on those things. And we say, okay, so you're good at this. Do you think we can build on it? So what we do is we put the wellness of the person in the middle, and the same multidisciplinary approach, we do it around the wellness of that person. However, this multidisciplinary approach, we don't really require professionals to come and do it. We use the community people, the community local resources, and the family members, and all these people, one or two professionals if they are involved within the program. Otherwise, it is pretty much within the community with all the community resources, and we focus on the wellness of the person and we work around that. So it becomes like a life experience for the person, and not necessarily in a hospital looked at by many professionals and, pointed out on what the challenges are, difficulties are, etc. But here it is more of a life experience for them. So it is learning, okay, I'm doing this wrong. Probably I can discuss it with this person and probably find out how else I can do. And so it becomes a life journey for them, and they progress from there. And what I have experienced in both these scenarios is the time taken to recover. I don't believe in the word recovery itself. First of all, I'm more of a healing type of person. But for someone to actually get out of this issue, even to a certain extent, within the conventional framework, it takes a longer period. Whereas within this setup that I'm talking about, the wellness paradigm, it is much faster for them to feel good, because this so-called recovery is all about feeling good about oneself also, such a way that you are even acceptable to other people. So once you start feeling good in your own skin and acceptable, and you are moving around with people with acceptance, them accepting you also, then what more do we need, right? So I feel this journey for most of them, even if they are coming out of these mental hospitals with the huge stigma and all of that also, their reintegration back into the community has been much smoother and faster over here. What I realize is when you bring someone from the hospital out, right, you can bring them, you can take them out of the hospital easily, but it is very difficult to take the hospital out of them. So what is challenging is the idea that you are sick, that you have a very bad illness, that you have been incarcerated inside the hospital without much movement also. So it could be really bad to me, and the loss of confidence, identity, your capacities, everything has been so diminished by that one diagnosis itself. So it's very difficult for them to get that out of the system and realize that, hey, I can be good in something, So our process is difficult that way. But as we progress in that, we feel that the person is already feeling good. And all they have to do is unlearn whatever has been told to them. And so we keep it with their choices also. So if they feel the medicines are giving me relief, and I feel better with medication, then we ask them to continue that, and that would be a fair thing for them to do. The group that comes in here on an everyday basis, they are the peer support group, and we are here for each other. And any ups and downs that we undergo in life, like all of us have those ups and downs, we don't hesitate to discuss it with the other person. So sometimes it's always in a group also, where we talk about it loudly. And say, I'm having this challenge, and there are people who say, like, my mother is treating me like a slave, and I want an independent life for myself and all. And we cannot sit in a hierarchy position and say, no, you should not feel like that and all. Like, who are we to say that? So it is the peer group that addresses, because people have undergone these difficulties and they address it with each other, and in that way it's a very equal setting, and it is not difficult to accept what a friend is suggesting to you. So that's the peer group work also that happens here. This is no home. This is not where you can come and leave someone and go. This is some place where we empower them to live independently, and then they get curious and ask what you do and all of that. So that's how we kind of get people coming here. But most of our referrals are from these institutions, these homes that are run all over, like places like SCARF, Schizophrenia Research Foundation. Then we have places like the Institute of Mental Health, the government-run mental hospital also, where people, once they have recovered or they have showing some progress, they are shifted to a hostel kind of facility. They are still attached to the mental hospital though. And then from there we talk to the mental hospital, and then we try to get them, and that's how more people are coming in. The paradigm that we have set for Better Chances is that we work on the mental, physical and spiritual planes. This is the paradigm. So of course mental is their the capacities. We are looking specifically at their capacities, and that's why the wellness center and all that. Physical, we really give a lot of importance on their diet, their exercise, and it's not just about, it's definitely not only about medicine or anything. It's about a lot of stuff to do with the physical body itself, because we find the mind-body connection is very important. And spiritual is not at all religious. It is about them questioning who they are and what they would like to contribute to themselves and to the larger world and all. So finding that purpose for themselves, that is the paradigm. And we have stuck to a few modalities when it comes to delivering our services. So the first thing is, in order to bring people out, our purpose is to build on their capacities more, build on whatever they already have and a little bit more on that, so that they can use that capacity to survive in this world. So we work on skill building, training and employment. So skill building, training, and then when it comes to employment, earning a substantial amount of money, which will help them live independently. And the second one is peer support, to have a solid support of people who have undergone similar situations, or friends who are able to understand that situation. And they need not be necessarily professionals. It can be people from the community, the elderly woman in the next door, it could be a vendor outside, but somebody who is more empathetic to the situation they are in, knowing that they come from the mental hospital and not stigmatizing them and willing to accept them in whatever condition they are and not afraid of them, etc. So the peer support is a very strong component of our modality. And the third one is creating inclusive community. So in this process, we enable them to live in the community. So then what happens is we find homes for them in the community, and the community already knows them. So there is no hesitation in giving these homes. Now that is a big barrier that we've managed to break, because the stigma around people with mental health disabilities getting a home, we still face that with outsiders. But in this area, we are creating a sensitive community which will give their homes for rent for these people, knowing very well that they have a mental health problem and knowing very well that there could be ups and downs. And this is one of the most forthcoming communities I have worked in, where the acceptance level is really very high. And we have managed to integrate about 6 people into the community. And there have been a lot of problems. It's not always smooth sailing. There have been issues where our clients have pushed flower pots from the terrace to the ground. And the community would immediately call me, and I would come rushing here, and we would all sit and have a meeting. And they would gently, they would have their own apprehensions as to why they did that. And I would also have my own apprehension. But then they would sit and talk to the girl and say, see, there are kids playing downstairs, and if something falls on their head, and when they talk like that, the person is able to understand that, and it is never repeated again. So it's not like everything is smooth sailing. There are challenges, but the community does not stigmatize them. Instead, it tries to understand and sit with me and tell them how we can handle it better. So I feel the community is full of social workers in our project,
In Miss Porkodi's words, mental health should be owned by everybody. The nearest person should be able to step up without differentiating and judging. Gradually, the community should also accept and support. That's why we have to create more and more awareness.